Hello, Perfect Death here, and I figured I'd do another video on Komodo third floor fight again, just because we just recently did another one. This run here went pretty smooth. We can see one of the guys just got, he's being chased by our good old friend Nuka, and he's hunting him down to try and Azura strike him, and he did. There's a bit of a desync thing sometimes where he's actually further ahead than where you see him, so he's definitely a scary boy to have chasing after you. But in this one, I figured I'd just watch and try to do some more commentary on this run as well, see what else I can spot going on. Yeah, right there. He decided to target me with it. I have my effects on high so I can see who he's targeting, but in this case, he was just going to go after me. I couldn't see the icon anyway, couldn't move, and then the priest had been hit by the mask that drains all of his SP, so I had to wait for somebody to Yugleaf me. But overall, this still turned out to be a fairly smooth run. With the 2 Slayer team composition, we do take a bit longer to do the Nuka fight and that. So here you go. He did another Intimidate. I use Freedom Vow to break free. And then sometimes I'll try to command charge somebody so that so they can at least run away. But you can see there, my taunt didn't stick because, again, he is actually ahead of where he is. So I tried to run further ahead of him, and I managed to get him the second time I tried. And taunt only lasts for half a second in this instance, so if people are hitting Nuka, he will sometimes change aggro. Yeah, he did another Intimidate, and then you can see him zoom off, and he's going after the priest. But of course we got hit by the freeze traps. And you can kind of see just how fast he sometimes will run. He was right next to me, and then he just zoom. Oh, we're halfway across the map already. That could just be because, again, desync. He will sometimes resync for you, and then that's when you'll see him just teleport almost, go super fast. So it's something to keep in mind when you're trying to do this instance. Yeah, I just got hit by Joel's bird, which does the stun. It also stops you from being able to heal until the stun wears off. But there we go. Try to pull him back onto this side. You do want to keep whoever you're tanking away from the kiting tank, who is doing Pakurani. And it's right about here that we, get back control. He's still just spamming taunt because I need to make sure he's staying still. Yeah, you can see he does another one here. And when we find out who he's going after our mage, so I use command charge on him, and then he gets lots of space, so he can just run away. And then I come by and I taunt him and try to pull him down-ish. And of course, I keep trying to avoid these purple circles. They do hurt quite a bit, and they do spread to whoever they hit. So if you're finding everybody's taking too much damage in your run, it might be because of the purple circles. And yeah, there we go, another Intimidate. And then we find out who he's going after. He's going after the mage again, so I command charge him. And he manages to run away. Sometimes I'll still try to keep him taunted, even though he will stay chasing after his Azura Strike target. Just so that whenever he ends his Azura Strike hunt, he will hopefully just chase after me. And then that saves us all a lot of time of trying to re-drag him over. So there you go, he's down. We managed to do that. And so we in this run we find Joel second usually goes a lot better for our particular group composition. Um, we do have one of the mages is the meteor bait, and so because of that, we want to make sure that he keeps away from Kimura. And so if you do Kimura second, then you're losing a lot of DPS, and then you're still going to get hit by Joel, his bird, and his traps. So we find that it's just better to get everybody to fight Joel next, and then that way we don't have to worry so much about the Kimura fight, because the Kimura fight for this composition that we were running still is pretty tough, even if we try to get all the DPS on her, just because she's constantly doing her white barrier. But against Joel, his traps are a bit annoying. You can see I lagged out there and I wasn't able to keep him taunted. You can see that yellow rectangular thing he calls out. That's his flame bird skill that he does, and that thing is pretty much an instant kill. Even if you bring a lot of reductions against it, it still hits for over 800k. I usually see it hitting for like 8 million. So it's a ridiculously strong skill when it hits. And it has a guaranteed irresistible stun that prevents you from healing. So you don't want to get hit by that thing. His Spiral Pierce can hurt quite a bit too. I run a Ghost Ring card, so it doesn't hurt me that much. And then his traps are just annoying because they are irresistible. So we do still want to make sure we're, watching our purple circles, because that's where a lot of the damage is coming out from. And I'm trying to see if I can pull him away from the team. But again, taunt only lasts on him for half a second as well. So it's quite difficult to get him to reposition when everybody's shooting at him. So, and now we're on to the Kimura fight. So fortunately the two were separated, so that made it really easy to just pull Kimura away. And yeah, unfortunately I still took the purple hit. Now in the Kimura fight, I generally find she doesn't do too much damage to me. So I usually don't have any issues really tanking her. I think for a lot of people, the hell plants do a lot of damage over time to them. And then that creates an issue where if you can't out heal the hell plants, then that is a problem. I think in this run, our RM got the last hit on Joel. And that cuts him down to half of his health. All right, so he's got 50% reduced max HP. And so we often see him get one shot by Kimura whenever she auto attacks him. And in that case, I was thinking maybe I should use my devotion on him just so he doesn't die as much. Or we were thinking we might try a different thing in the future and maybe have the meteor bait last hit Joel, just because they're going to be keeping away from the Kimura fight anyway. You can see down in the bottom right corner, that's where our mage is, who's the meteor bait. So long as they have Suffragium Ode, they can keep up 100% white barrier, and therefore if they do get hit by meteor, they're not going to die, and they try to keep away from everybody else just so that the instant kill thing isn't there. But yeah, you can see the RM did die, so we're watching, and yeah, Kimura just turned and looked at him and one shot him pretty much. So I think he had the max HP debuff from killing Joel without asphyxia, and that just means he can get one shot from her autos really easily. And in this case, I'm also trying to use Divine Protection to sort of link to people, but you do want to keep on your toes so that you don't spread the purple around so much. And then, yeah, we can see here, Kimura wants to go after her meteor bait. So he's got to move away from that. And yeah, I just have generally lots of self-heal. Got my 130k from Battle Chant and like a one. I think it's yeah, I think my one. Yeah, I'm just checking what my. I think it's 170 is my Battle Chant, and then 130 is my Glorious Guardian. It's going all over the place, up, down. Depends when I have Tension Relax on, and the Priest buffs as well give me a lot of extra healing bonuses. Yeah, their Kimura just ran off after the mage again. And of course, she's quite tricky to get to run down. And half of the members weren't in a Discord call in this particular run, so we did quite well considering that. Yeah, RM got one shot again. So we weren't really communicating against the purple circles as much. So you probably would just want it so that if you see a purple circle, if you are the tank, then you should stay, and if you're not the tank, then you should get it away from the tank and get it away from others. But for the most part, it's not the nastiest thing to deal with. You know, for me, it does just a little bit under half of my health from a purple circle. The main issue is if you stack it too many times to different people, then overlapping purple explosions is going to cause people to burn their death blows really fast. So, and I think sometimes I try to do some DPS to Kimura, but in general I just focus on keeping her taunted so that she doesn't auto attack other people. Yeah, you can see the priest got hit by the meteors because the the meteor bait walked by in order to get by, and they got hit by the meteor from Kimura. So if you do want to do a run where the kiting tank has the meteor bait, it's kind of an option if they have the gear and the resistances to resist that meteor. So, you know, fire element armor, that sort of thing. If you are running a Pisana card, you might have troubles just because Joel's trap, his freeze trap, usually you can just outrun the meteors, but sometimes Joel will freeze you and then you are stuck as water element, and then Kimura comes in and starts dropping meteors on you. So yeah, I'm a bit on the fence about that. It might be better to run like a Tharafrog card, for example, and use Piety, so that way you stack more overall resistances. So either way, we're done with the Kimura fight. That's probably the longest fight in this run for us. Nuka is still definitely the harder of the fights just because of all of his abilities. Whereas, because we're a 2-Slayer run here, we have very little issue dealing with Pakurani. You can see here she space silenced everybody, including herself, so that's always okay. Then she does her elf. I know for sure at the very end of the Pakurani fight, we do land the Cure Barrier on time. But when you have 2 Slayers, you don't really have to worry about the Cure Barrier thing. So, for the most part, we actually do this without getting remove buffed. So, and we don't have anybody die. So yeah, we can see we burn it down pretty quick. So I think it's around here. See that we got the elf up, and then I think right about there, boom, she dropped down. It was, yeah, let's just, right about at the 8% there, he does Cure Barrier, and the AoE heal happens, and then she's down to 4%, so, and that was at the 15:26, so, boop, And she's 8% there, and then the cure barrier lands, so there is literally half a second that you get when you between landing your cure barrier and that. So you have a very narrow window. If you don't get it at just at that point, your cure barrier effect expires. So, and depending on your desync, your timing might be different, right? Now it is a 7 seconds from when you see the first frame of her doing her summon elf. So she does her elf right about here, right? So then, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there. I started counting a little bit after the 1 second mark, so it's pretty much 6-7ish seconds. So depending on how fast you spot the elf and the animation of her jumping or the text, that's when you start to count. So as for what gears I was running in that particular run, I'll just quickly go over them. Might as well. Usually I run this Sins of a Living, which at plus 15 gives you skill cooldown minus 10%, and Fate Wheel, another 10% less skill cooldown, which is really useful for your spamming your taunt. I do run for the card on here a Basilisk card for reducing size damage, helps against mostly just against Joel. I do run the Ghost Ring card, which helps against mostly Joel. And then my Clip Star card. I do run the Ferris card. I don't think that the Fiery Main Star card slow really lasts long enough for it to be useful. And then for cards on my accessories, Beer Penguin card and Scarecrow Star card. And I usually just carry around my PG with the two things. I'm not really there for the DPS anyway, so for that, the Black Goats, I just throw this guy on just because there's probably a couple of other options that you could run with, but I just throw this guy on. This one's pretty useful. You know, demi-human reduction, 30% is very useful against these guys here. This one, you know, extra health and reduced damage from races. And then the stun resist doesn't really help you. I'm mostly just having that as magic damage reduction and bonus healing. You could really switch around some of these to different things. Depends. If you wanted auto attack reduction, that's when most of the bosses do auto attack damage to you outside of the odd skill that hits. So Dragon Velvet is still quite a good option there. You could also go for the Angry Snarl. Oh, you unequipped it. And that gives you Demi-Human. You could also go for a Spike Scarf, Demi-Human reduction as well. And let's see, what are my runes? Oh yeah, I'll cover this. My Oracle Mirror, in order to get my heals higher, I run a plus 10 Croche Staff. And then just keep that on. You could probably use a different one if you wanted to better spec against these bosses. And then where is my rune box? Here we go. So my runes here, Solid Barrier second line is vital. If you don't have this one, you are going to struggle massively, because every time you get hit in your auto guard triggers, you're going to flinch. So this gets rid of that. Vital. Very useful. This one's nice if you want to boost your healing. Gives extra battle chant. Your command charge one, you don't really need the auto cast. You definitely want a good roll on the first line for the cooldown reduction. That's going to help you let people escape from Nuka. This one I just recently thrown on. I recently got a good counterattack Halo Star rune. Doesn't work very well against these bosses. They have way too much damage reductions against this. This is useful for reducing damage that you're receiving, and it triggers from any kind of damage. So because it's going to be constantly reprocking, doesn't matter if it doesn't last too long on the bosses. They're going to keep getting debuffed a lot. And then this one for the reductions, you don't get stripped or gear broken in this instant at least, so good resistances are nice there. And then some of my other ones, int, I put the int rune on because that boosts Glorious Guardian, and of course Vitality for Battle Chant, Divine Attack for bonus healing, Spirit Attack because Magic Attack boosts Glorious Guardian, so I thought why not, and then just lots of these blue ones. So aside from that, I think that's about it. That'll be it for this video. Take care.